60% of homes in Northern Virginia are selling over the asking price. In Fairfax County, it's 64%. In Prince William County and Loudoun County, it is 61%. Even though interest rates are higher than normal, or at least the last 2 years, you're still going to have to make aggressive offers to win in Northern Virginia. So I want to talk to you about two scenarios with two buyer clients and how their offer went. And then we're going to talk about how you can structure your offer in the future. Also, we're going to talk about the risk associated with offers, with different segments of the offer. This comes up regularly with my clients who are making offers today. And I think this is a conversation that more people will be interested in, so stick around. Before we begin, I'm Abraham Walker with Ask A Walker, your Northern Virginia real estate agent. On this channel, we do all the research so you don't have to. When you're ready to start your real estate journey, whether that's buying a home, selling a home, or investing in real estate, click on the link in the description to fill out your perfect home questionnaire. After you complete the form, we will schedule a time to meet online via Zoom to answer any and all of your real estate questions. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for future videos about relocating to the Northern Virginia area. With that out the way, I had a Lake Ridge buyer who's buying a single family home that was listed for $545,000. My client, knowing that it was a competitive offer situation, they offered $550,000. That escalated to $565,000. We did include a home inspection contingency along with a financing and appraisal contingency. My client lost to a $550,000 offer because that buyer removed the home inspection contingency. So in that scenario, everything was really similar except the home inspection. Another one of my clients purchased a home in Fort Hunt, and that's in Alexandria, Fairfax County. This is also another single family home, but this property is listed at $800,000+. Now, my client had a larger down payment, larger earnest money deposit. We were using a local lender. We had a home inspection for void only purposes. We'll talk more about that later in the video. They had an escalation clause and a 30-day closing. The offer that they were going up against, they only offered list price, which, to be honest, is laughable because list price used to be a strong offer, and that person lost to my client only because of the earnest money deposit. They also had a large down payment. Their earnest money deposit was significantly lower than ours. So you're probably asking yourself, what does it take to win? You have two different scenarios right here. One person won because they had a home inspection, another person won because they had a higher earnest money deposit. Let's talk about the different aspects of the offer. Also talk about the risk associated with each case. First up, we have how will you purchase the home? I'm talking about financing here. Cash is king here in this scenario. So if you have enough cash, you can beat most offers, but most people in our market do not have $500,000 to $2 million in cash just laying around. The next up is going to be conventional loans. If you have a conventional loans, you are competing against other people who have conventional loans. So you want to think about if you can have a high down payment versus a low down payment. I know having a high down payment also means that you have to have access to cash as well. So if you're competing against somebody who has more cash, then it's probably not going to fare out well for you. Next up is going to be a VA loan. Now, I know this is going to hurt some of my buyers who are using their VA loans. They've earned them by serving in the military. But in this market, VA loans always fall underneath the conventional loan product. Why is that? Well, there is this stigma that VA loan appraisers are more stringent than conventional loans. There's no way to get around it. That is just a rumor, or that's the myth that's in the air, and you just have to deal with it. Last up on the list is going to be everything else. So that means FHA financing, USDA financing, or first-time home buyer programs. There is one special exception, and that is going to be physician loans. Now, physician loans are going to be conventional loans, but they have a low down payment option. These are also going to beat out on VA buyers because physicians are seen as more prestigious in the market. You just have to deal with it, okay? The second thing you want to consider when you're making your offer is who is your lender. And when we're talking about lenders, we're talking about whether or not you're using somebody local, national, or someone with a bad reputation. Local is always going to be the best option. Local means someone that your agent or your buyer's agent or the listing agent, someone they can call, someone maybe they've seen, someone maybe they've done business with in the past. That person is always going to put the offer, your offer, in the best light. Our local lender always reaches out to the listing agent to talk to them about the offer, talk to them about our client, kind of upsell our buyer. Some of the other options, some of the other lenders do not like doing this. The next option for you, which is going to be less than desirable, is going to be national or online lenders. Now, you most likely got in touch with a national online lender through an ad that you saw online or phone calls or some other way that you got in touch with these individuals. Now, there's probably a promise that was made about fees, rates, or a number of things, right? These individuals are going to be less than desired than a local lender because they do not have a reputation in the market. The last lender you want to stay away from is someone who has a bad reputation. Now, I didn't mention this in the national or online lenders because some of those lenders will reach out to the listing agent. Some of those lenders will take the phone calls from your buyer's agent. When it comes to lenders who have bad reps, usually they don't even like to take our phone calls. They don't like to call the listing agent. Also, they don't work on weekends. That's when we get a lot of the offers in on properties. So they're not really able to put you into the best position. Keeping our conversation around lenders, the third thing you want to watch out for is becoming pre-qualified versus pre-approved. Pre-qualification is just you going online saying that you have a certain type of credit score, saying that you make X amount of dollars, and then the lender saying, okay, great, you should be able to get X amount of dollars for a property. That piece of paper, right? That piece of paper that we submit with your offer is useless and it's going to fall under someone who has a pre-approval. Now, someone who has a pre-approval letter, this is someone who has already submitted their documents to the lender. This is somebody who has probably had their employment verified and their income verified. So it takes a little bit longer. So it's not something you're going to be able to go into overnight, get pre-approved, give yourself some time. The fourth thing you want to consider is the size of your earnest money deposit. Yes, the size of your earnest money deposit matters. We won a deal just recently where, because my client had a 5% earnest money deposit, that made the listing agent feel more confident in the offer. What's really silly about that is that the earnest money deposit is one of the easiest things to get back because usually a title company holds the earnest money deposit and they're much quicker to release the funds if you satisfy any of the contingencies in the contract. Also, you can get your earnest money deposit back through the home inspection process or the HOA review. So for somebody to use the earnest money deposit as the tool to determine why buyer A versus buyer B should get the property, just know, increase your earnest money deposit. The fifth thing you want to consider is the home inspection. Now, there's four things to consider when you're doing a home inspection, or four ways to structure your home inspection. First off, there's none. No home inspection is going to beat out any other home inspection, like I gave you the example at the beginning of this video. I do not recommend not doing a home inspection because sellers in some parts of this region, right, know that their home may be sold without a home inspection and they do nothing to it. They don't get it ready. They don't update anything. And you may be walking into a situation where you have to replace the roof, replace the HVAC system, paint the entire property. It can be a very expensive ordeal before you're even able to move into the property. So we never recommend no home inspection. The second thing you could do is called a walk and talk. So it's not a home inspection. It's something where the inspector will come out usually on Saturday or Sunday for an hour and they'll talk to you about the condition of the property. Usually they check the major systems like the electrical panel, the HVAC system, and they'll look in the attic if they have enough time. This is usually conducted during your appointment slot. So it's not a full home inspection, which can take anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, depending on the size of the property. The next option is for you to have a home inspection for void only purposes. This means that you're going to conduct the home inspection and you're going to either move forward with the property or you're going to void the home inspection. So you're not going to respond to the seller, let them know what deficiencies you would like to be repaired or remedied. The very last thing you can do is a home inspection, a full home inspection. Usually with full home inspections, you will be asking the seller to remedy or repair some of the items or some problems that are in the property. It's very challenging to get a full home inspection when the property has been on the market for the first week, even if they don't have any other offers. This is all about risk management. The seller knows that if you get a full home inspection, they should expect you to ask for something. We're almost through with our list of ways to write competitive offers that win in Northern Virginia. Let me know you're still watching right now by typing NOVA in the chat right now. Also, if you made it this far, please think about subscribing to the channel, liking this video, and sharing it with anybody you know that is losing in today's market and they don't want to. They want to stop losing. The sixth thing you want to consider when you're writing competitive offers in Northern Virginia is the financing contingency. Inside of the financing contingency, you can remove the appraisal contingency. So this means that you have to purchase the property with financing, but you don't need an appraisal. You do have the option of including a financing contingency and removing the appraisal to make your offer more competitive. In that scenario, you're agreeing to paying the difference between the appraised value and the contract price. Last up is going to be just a full financing contingency with appraisal. Okay, so next up on our list is going to be your escalation clause at number 7. Now, escalation clauses can be a little tricky. You got to have a strategy when it comes to escalation clause. It's not just about going over the other buyers. It's also about your increments. Like, what increment will you go over? Will it be $1,000, $1,500, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000? It all depends on the price point. One thing to consider about max price when it comes to your escalation clause. This is a number that you feel comfortable and confident that, you know what, I gave it my all. I won't feel bad if somebody pays slightly more than this price. Last thing I want you to think about when it comes to escalation clause is, will you retain the appraisal? Now, escalation clause means that you're going above another number, above another buyer. So in those scenarios, sometimes people will try to retain the appraisal, and that makes no sense because you're probably going into a territory where there aren't any numbers to support the value that you're offering. The eighth thing you want to consider is your rent back. This is where you allow the seller to continue living in the property after the deal has closed. So after the closing is over, after all the money has been exchanged, the seller stays in the property. If you're using financing, the seller can't stay in the property longer than 60 days, and you have to move in on the 61st day per most financing clauses. Now that you know the maximum length of the rent back, the next thing you want to think about is the amount you're going to charge the seller to stay in essentially your property. Now, you can charge a flat fee, you can charge a daily rate, or if you really want to be competitive, you can charge no fee. So you can let them stay in the property for no charge. Now, I know a lot of our buyer clients do not like this option. And there's another way you could think about this. This is just one more step to making sure you win. That's all this is. You're probably not going to move into the property after closing anyway. So for them to stay in the property a few more days, a few more weeks, sometimes doesn't really matter. For my first time home buyers, hopefully this little tidbit will make you feel a little bit better about no charge rent backs. Your first mortgage payment isn't due until the following month. So say you close at the end of June, your first mortgage payment isn't until August 1st. Anyway, the last thing on our list is going to be your closing date. So coming in at number 9, when are you going to settle? Normal closing dates are 30 days. If you're really in a competitive offer situation, if you already have your pre-approval, then a lender could probably do it between 14 to 21 days. Usually the closing date isn't that big of a deal. That's why I saved it to the end. Just keep in mind that 30-day closes are okay because sellers live in most properties in Northern Virginia. We don't really have a lot of vacant homes in our market. Now that you know 9 ways to structure your offer to be more competitive in Northern Virginia, hopefully you stop losing. Hopefully you start enjoying your new home. Let me know in the comment section, how did you lose a property or how did you win? Let's share some tales, some good stories to all of our viewers here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.